Welcome to Seamwork Radio. I'm Sari, the founder of Seamwork.
And I'm Haley, the pattern designer.
And in these weekly episodes, we share easy tips and fun ideas to tackle all those little sewing and creative conundrums that we all face. This podcast is brought to you by Seamwork, a community that supports you in designing and sewing your very own wardrobe. When you join us at Seamwork, not only do you get to take part in an amazing, super helpful online community, but you also get access to new sewing patterns and classes every single month. We have over 200 sewing patterns to choose from and new designs that we add every month. So we'll help you to make things that fit your style, and you'll have more fun sewing. You can ask questions in our private community or join us for one of our monthly sew-along classes. As a podcast listener, you can get half off an unlimited membership by going to seamwork.com/go/podcast50. Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 25. And today we're going to talk about how to declutter with the things that you've made. So this is something that I personally really struggle with. And I'm hoping that Haley can give me some of her tips because she's a lot better at it than I am. So we're going to cover 5 different questions that you can ask yourself when you have trouble throwing out a handmade item, and then 3 practical tips for getting yourself to declutter without feeling really terrible about it. So that's what we're talking about today. And I'll start because like I said, I have a really hard time getting rid of stuff I made, Haley. Like, I'm really not good at it. Even stuff that is handmade that I didn't make. Like, I have stuff that we decluttered from the sewing studio that I took home because it was cute, and I still can't get rid of it because I know it was handmade. I am just really, really bad about it. And I am particularly bad with my knitting projects because they take so long. And, you work on something for 3 months and then you never wear it. And it's just guilt sitting there in the drawer for me.
Yeah, I have a completely opposite point of view where I'm pretty brutal about getting rid of things. So I think I might be able to help you with this.
I hope so. I endeavor to be brutal about it, but I just am not. I've realized recently that I have so much clothing, and it's not because I buy a lot of stuff and I'm not real prolific with my sewing. Like, I sew maybe one thing a month, but I'm just really not good at getting rid of stuff. And I think a lot of times it's stuff that I really like. I just don't wear it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you have a garment that's like you feel like immense guilt over not wearing, even though you spent a ton of time on it?
Well, I think, like I said, my knitting projects.
Yeah.
Most of all, I have managed to get rid of most of them. And I think the cool thing with knitting is that you can unravel it and reuse the yarn, even though that kind of feels terrible.
Painful.
To frog it, yeah. But I have a lot of stuff that I just don't even realize it's there anymore. Although I made a Sadie, which is the kind of funnel neck sweatshirt thing. And I used this really nice organic cotton knit that has like a fleece interior. It's super soft. And I thought, well, I'll wear it a ton in quarantine, just wear it with leggings all the time. And I do, but it's like the fabric didn't turn out really the way I expected. It's kind of saggy. So the pockets are like really saggy and it's starting to pill. And I just feel kind of schlubby in it, But like, it's really comfortable and in theory, it's cute. So I cannot get rid of it. So that's the first thing that came to mind. But yeah, I think things that have some kind of either took a long time or have a lot of sentiment, or even something that I expected to be really cool, is just hard for me to get rid of.
Yeah. So how often do you actually regret getting rid of something that you made?
Like, never. I can't even remember the stuff. Like, once I get rid of things, I don't even think about them again.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most important things to ask yourself when you're kind of pondering something like this is like, when have I actually like really regretted something? And I bet you that there's not going to be very many times that you can like call to memory that you actually regret it. What do you think makes it so hard for you to get rid of something?
I think it's the amount of time that I put into it. Like, it kind of feels like a failure because I spent this time on it and I had high expectations of it. And I don't want to admit that they weren't met, I guess. I know
Mhm.
that's just like a sunk cost fallacy, but you've already spent the time, whether or not, you get rid of it or you don't. So, but that's kind of how I feel. It's like admitting defeat, I guess.
Yeah, well, and I think that we need to remind ourselves that the act of sewing isn't just about the end product and what we create. That's like a really satisfying part of it. But even if your project turns out like kind of rubbish, you still spent the hours to learn something new, to practice your craft. And that in itself is a joyful pursuit. So maybe the fabric's wasted but the time isn't really ever gone. We still gained something from it. It's like very fluffy, but I really truly believe it.
Oh, this is great. What other tips do you have for me? 'Cause I could use them.
Okay. So I feel like I don't like keeping things that I've made that don't make me feel good. So I think that I'm a good person to talk to about this. So here are some questions that I think are really important to ask yourself when you're pondering a garment. So first, I think you should ask yourself, why should I keep this? It might be an heirloom, in which case, totally keep it. Is it to remember something about the garment or a time that you wore it? Is it going to be of use to you again in the future? Of course, like it's totally valid to save something for sentimental reasons, but try and like think of other ways that you can preserve that memory, like maybe a picture will do the trick or journaling or something like that. Next, I think you should ask yourself, and this really is the most important one to me, is does it make you feel good? Like things that don't make me feel good do not serve me. I don't want them. Maybe you can make it some changes to help you find the beauty in it again and refashion it. That's an awesome option. But if it doesn't make you feel good and you can't make it make you feel good, then bye. Kind of similarly, could you repurpose it? Maybe you can't like alter it into, maybe you can't alter your Sadie into something that's a garment that's going to make you feel super good, but maybe you could make a really cute dog bed. I'm trying to think of something that's like cozy.
For my future dog.
For your future dog, you could make like a really cute dog bed, a pillow, I don't know, something like that. And then lastly, will someone else love it more than you? If you drop this off at your local thrift store, are you going to make someone's month when they find this super cozy sweater that they're going to love so much and it really suits their style? Yeah, just think of the person who will find it. I always find that to be kind of exciting when I'm having a little harder time getting rid of something or donating it.
Yeah, I think for stuff that is really, really nice and you really like it, but it's just you're not wearing it, it's just not you or it doesn't
Mhm.
fit you quite right, that always really helps me. But in the converse, like I've also gone to clothing swaps and naked lady parties and things and put stuff out that I thought, oh, this is so cute, somebody's gonna love it, and nobody even wants it. And that also gives
Yeah.
me a different perspective because I'm just like, okay, this is really not like why was it so hard to get rid of this? It's not like
Yeah,
intrinsically valuable, you know?
totally. I've been that person at the thrift store who like happens to go there the day after someone who's like my size and has maybe similar taste to me drops something off and you have like this treasure trove like, oh, it's so good. So, yeah, think of the new life it will leave, the adventures it'll have.
Yeah, whether that's a dog bed or on somebody else's body.
That maybe that was a bad example, but
I think it's a great example. I wanna make, like, dog toys and dog beds for my future dog that I don't have yet. That's gonna that's gonna help me convince Ken.
well, we have all of this stuff. Yeah, so I think all of those four questions are really great questions to ask yourself. You also need to kind of think about like do you really want to be a person who keeps everything? I don't want to have to like call Hoarders TLC show on you. And
Oh my gosh. I read the book. Oh gosh, I can't remember the name of it, but I'll look it up and I'll put it in the show notes. I read the book by the psychologist, I think, who's on hoarders,
uh-huh.
about hoarding and how the hoarding tendencies that we all have. And it was so fascinating. Like, it really helped shift my mindset around this stuff. It was just so interesting, like the different cognitive things going on, even when you're not, even if you don't have a mental illness around it. We all have some kind of like illogical attachments to our stuff.
Yeah, yeah. For my husband, it's boxes. He like really like is obsessed with like this is like a really good box. I have to save it. And then like 6 months later, I'm like, Eric, there's a pile of boxes in our garage. Like, stop. Stop.
I'm that way with some boxes. After reading Marie Kondo's book, like, I started keeping the really nice small boxes just for organizing my drawers and stuff.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes you'll get really, really nice ones, like
Yeah.
thick ones in cute colors and everything. And I started keeping those, and now I had to get rid of them because they were piling up. I was like, I don't have this much stuff in my drawers.
Yeah. 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 Boxes. This is our little like segue into really good boxes on this episode. Yeah. So I guess kind of backtracking, do you really want to keep everything or just the special stuff? It can be really good to have kind of like some constraints around the things that you want to keep. So you can have a keepsake box, and all of your sentimental things that you want to keep have to fit inside of that keepsake box. And if you go to add something to it and it doesn't fit, it's time to take it all out and reassess. Again, ask yourself, would a photograph, would journaling about it, would those things serve the same purpose? I think those are really good tools for preserving memories that might be attached to garments, because I think most of us who care about clothing have a lot of sentimental attachment to those things. Another great thing to do is to put things away seasonally. If you put it away seasonally, and you don't see a particular garment for 6 months, when you look at it again, you might feel a little bit differently. Maybe it'll respark some joy, or maybe you'll be like, why was I having a hard time getting rid of this? Oh, like, and last tip, kind of similar. I have a donation purgatory in my garage. Every time I go through my clothes and get rid of stuff, I bag it up, I put it in my garage for a couple months, and then I revisit it again. Inevitably, I will kind of save a couple garments before they get sent to the Goodwill or thrift store. But most of the time, I'm like, oh, why did I have any hesitancy about any of these things? So donation purgatory is definitely a hot tip.
That's one thing I do. I started doing that maybe 6 months ago. I took a big wicker laundry basket that I had, and I just put it where my clothes are, so that when I'm going through my racks, getting dressed in the morning and trying to figure out what to wear, if there's something I notice in there that I haven't worn in a long time, I can just throw it in the basket, and it's right there. I don't have to think about it.
Genius.
But it sits there for a while, so I can always pull stuff out. It doesn't feel like, oh, it's gone. I had this really cute pair of linen pants that I got, but the color was just like not that cool. It was like a mud brown. It was just like, but I would wear it, around the house and stuff. And then I finally just tossed it in that bin, and it sat there for a while. And I realized, like, I'm fine without these pants that don't make me happy,
Yeah, totally.
So it kind of is a way to convince yourself, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. That's a really good idea. I've been doing that with I did that with maternity items that, or things that were not maternity items, but I stretched out horribly with my big pregnant belly. I have it's not a cute wicker basket. It's literally a Trader Joe's bag in the corner where I just kind of ooh, that's kind of busted. Save it for later or a pregnant friend.
Yeah. I imagine getting rid of maternity clothes would be real hard.
Yeah. You know what? I didn't make myself I only made myself things when I was pregnant that I knew I'd be able to wear when I wasn't pregnant for that reason, because I thought I would have like too much irrational attachment to it, like in that period of my life. So I made myself just like a bunch of like flowy Clark dresses and things that could totally be worn by my regular bod, not just my pregnant bod.
Oh man, you're so practical. You're so smart, Haley.
Why, thank you. I'm just brutal with this stuff. I don't think I would ever, there's not very many aspects of my personality that I think people would describe as brutal, but with getting rid of stuff, I am.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would describe you generally as being a brutal person.
I'm like the Simon Cowell of sewing.
I've heard people call you that.
It's a common theme for me.
All right. Well, I've gotten some really good tips out of this. So I'm just going to recap the tips that we covered here. So you had a bunch of good questions to ask yourself. First of all, why do you want to keep it? If it's, something that you want as a keepsake or something you just want to remember, maybe you could take a photo of it or keep a journal about it. Or you could use the Seamwork community. You could post your projects there, and then you have kind of a catalog of all your projects that you've made. That's something I find really helpful. And then think about whether it makes you feel good, or maybe you could change it to make you feel good. Or could you repurpose it into a dog bed or something else? Think about whether someone else is going to love it more. If you donate it, maybe somebody else is going to find it and they're going to be really thrilled about it. And then decide whether you really want to keep everything or if you just want to keep really special stuff. So I feel like that's going to be really helpful to me because it'll help me to have some kind of criteria around what I keep and what I don't keep. And then you suggested starting like a single keepsake box and just kind of limiting the things you keep to that box. So you have a limit on it. Putting away things seasonally, so that when you bring it back out, you can kind of see it with fresh eyes and maybe your decision will be a little bit different. And the last one was keeping donations around for a while in kind of a donation purgatory, like having a box or a basket where you put stuff you're going to donate but haven't quite gotten there yet, so that you can always kind of convince yourself that you can change your mind about it. Those are some fantastic tips. I'm really excited to actually clean out my closet now.
I believe in you. You can do it. Just like, send me a message on the community if you need some motivation. That applies to anyone listening. Be like, hey, Haley.
Maybe we can start some kind of challenge or something around it. Get rid of everything you made. Start fresh in the new year. All right. Well, I hope you guys have gotten something out of this too. And if you do, let us know on the community, or you can message us on Instagram, or you could also check out our YouTube channel. Leave a comment there, which is at Seamwork Video. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye. Bye. Seamwork Radio is brought to you by our team here at Seamwork. You can follow us on Instagram at Seamwork, or find lots of free sewing videos on our YouTube channel at Seamwork Video. You might also want to check out our free sewing quiz, which is at seamwork.com. When you take the quiz, you answer just a few questions about your goals and your personality, and we'll tell you what kind of sewer you are and recommend some patterns and resources for you to achieve your sewing goals, no matter what they are. And don't forget, if you're interested in a Seamwork membership, podcast listeners get half off our unlimited plan. Just go to seamwork.com/go/podcast50 to get that deal. Until next time, have fun sewing.